I had been hired as the safety man for a new stunt in a water ski show. It was to be performed by the star, Hal Peters. The stunt would be a thriller, if he could live through it. It was a deliberate fall from a kite 100 feet in the air. His boss and his fiancée were in the stands. They were as worried as I was, but at least they could see him. There was someone else who was watching, too. The stunt had worked, and Hal thought he had it made. He didn't know it then, but he'd have been luckier if it hadn't worked.
He made it, Joe. He made it.
Things had gone off perfectly on the first attempt. The others were relieved and happy, but I still had some mental reservations.
Sensational, Hal. Give me a couple of days for publicity, then we can put it in the show, okay?
Sure. I can spot it right after we do our topside tandem.
Oh, I don't know, Hal. It's awfully dangerous.
Dangerous? What do you mean? It's a cinch.
What do you think, Mike?
It's no cinch, that's for sure.
See, he thinks you were just lucky.
What do you mean, lucky? That was skill.
Don't laugh it off, Hal. If Mike thinks the dive is too dangerous, maybe we'd better just forget it.
Oh, come on, Mike. That's a great routine.
What do you say, Mike?
Let me try it first, huh?
But Mike, you're not really a water skier. You ski all right, but you're no expert like Hal here.
So, if I can get away with it, then we'll know it's safe, huh?
Listen, I got you out here mainly because I was afraid Hal had hurt himself and need help after he hit the water. I didn't hire you to risk your own neck.
You wanted my opinion, didn't you?
Yes,
well, I can't give it to you unless I try the stunt myself.
Okay, Mike, it's your neck.
Ever since I learned to water ski at Silver Springs, it's been one of my favorite sports. Still, as the boat picked up speed, the test didn't seem nearly as intriguing as it had on dry land. I was thinking of the man who had a tiger by the tail and was afraid to let go.
There he goes.
When I hit the water, I let myself fall as deep as I could. I wanted to know the maximum time for the underwater part of the stunt. I came up as slowly as possible. A week later, the great show was in full swing. A fine company of water skiers from Cypress Gardens were on hand and performing beautifully. During the first part of the show, I was underwater setting up an automatic movie camera. I was going to record the underwater part of Hal's act for a newsreel company. One of the big events was skiers soaring on kites. Hal's act would be based on this. Then a champion skier demonstrated a most difficult trick. He was water skiing without skis. It takes perfect coordination. It's kind of hard on your feet, too. The water ski jumps followed, including some fancy turns in midair. Finally, the show reached its high point.
Now for the climax of our show. Hal Peters in a death-defying leap from the clouds.
Hal's big moment had arrived. Hal's fall had looked all right to me, but he was taking a long time to come up. I knew that it was much too long. I had to get to him, and fast.
I'm sorry, June. He didn't make it.
No.
Mr. Ross? Dick James of the Chronicle. Cause of death, drowning? They sure?
Well, as sure as they can be without an autopsy.
Autopsy, no.
I'll get you some water.
You Mike Nelson, the guy who pulled him out?
Yeah, that's right.
How do you think the accident happened?
I don't know. He was a top swimmer. You never had any trouble with that stunt before.
I did it. I killed him. It's all my fault.
Easy now, June, easy.
Oh, Mike.
If it was anybody's fault, it was mine.
No,
I
no.
let him do the stunt.
Mike. No.
Better take her home, huh? Come on, let's go home, huh? A few hours later, June still seemed to need watching. My own mind was troubled, too, by unanswered questions.
Hal. Hal.
You all right, June? I'm still here with you. You had quite a long sleep for yourself.
Go away, Mike. Please. I'm a jinx. Any man gets close to me gets killed.
Oh, now stop talking.
Mike, listen to me. Please go away. I don't want anything to happen to you.
Nothing's going to happen to me.
Please, Mike, go. Hurry, please.
All right. Here, you take this pill first, huh? Doctor wanted me to give it to you as soon as you woke up. It'll quiet your nerves, huh?
Now go, Mike, please. Hurry.
All right.
Go. Get out, Mike.
All right. Now, you take it easy. You stop imagining things now, you hear?
Any man that gets close to me gets killed. Any man that gets close to me gets killed.
The Marine Stadium was empty, but I rounded up the boatmen. I had to try that stunt again, and I had to do it exactly as Hal had done it. The stunt worked just as it had in our tests. I couldn't see how Hal could have been killed by it. Then I remembered my movie camera and went to retrieve it. The film might answer my questions. There was something on the film that I was anxious for the police to see. Wait a minute, hold it now. Back up a bit. There. See that diver down there? Doesn't look like he's just waiting for somebody to come down. For Hal?
That's a pretty dim figure. Could be anybody. You were down there, could be you.
No. I was on the beach at the time.
Well, that camera operates automatically, doesn't it? Couldn't you have triggered it by mistake?
No, that's impossible. No. I can tell by the way he swims underwater that it's not me. I don't handle myself that way. I'm positive that this is someone else.
You trying to tell me that Hal Peters' death wasn't an accident? That was murder?
Yes, I am.
Oh, I don't know, Mr. Nelson. A man jumps from a speeding kite 100 feet into the water. He figures to get it. If that's all the evidence you have.
No, it isn't. There's something else.
Well, let's hear it.
I took her home, Hal's girl, after it happened. When I left the apartment, I was almost run down by a car.
Couldn't that have been accidental?
No, this was deliberate. The car was aimed right at me.
Can you prove that?
No.
Car kept right on going.
Yeah, top speed.
Did you get the license number?
Oh, it all happened so fast I wasn't able to.
And you think there's some connection between that and what happened to Hal Peters?
I think there could be, yeah. On the way back, I stopped at June's apartment. It was lucky that I did. You sure this is what you want to do? You've made up your mind.
I'm going home, Mike. There's nothing left here for me anymore.
Now, before you go, there's something that I'd like to know. You said that anybody that got close to you got killed. Well, why'd you say that?
Forget it. I didn't know what I was talking about.
That's what I figured then.
Has something happened to make you change your mind?
Yes, it has.
What, Mike? What was it?
Somebody tried to kill me.
No, not again.
What do you mean, not again? June, come on now. Tell me. Tell me.
Hal wasn't the first one.
All right, now go on.
There was another one 3 years ago in California.
Oh?
He was a Navy diver like the man I was married to at the time.
You were married to a diver?
His name was Steve Garth.
Garth?
Leeds is my maiden name.
I see.
I started to use it again after the divorce.
Come on now. Sit down. Tell me what happened.
Steve had a partner, Bill Simons.
Yeah?
I liked Bill, but not the way Steve thought I did. The two of them were working together one day on the bottom off San Pedro.
Mm-hmm.
Steve was the only one who came back up.
You mean your husband drowned him?
Officially, it was an accident, but the Navy gave him a dishonorable discharge. I just don't know, Mike.
Well, if you don't know, maybe you better stick around for a while. We might find out something. If those accidents have been accidents, that's one thing. And if they haven't, well, it won't do you any good to run away. You're gonna have to face it sooner or later. Might as well be now.
What can I do?
Nothing? All right now, anyway. But I can. Chronicle? I'd like to speak to Mr. James, please.
Mike, please be careful.
Mr. James, this is Mr. Nelson. Mike Nelson, I was That's right. I've got a story that you might be interested in. Yeah.
This is James of the Chronicle bringing you the midnight roundup of the news. On the local front, Mike Nelson, the noted skin diver, revealed today that he intends to prove that the tragic death of Hal Peters, the water skier, was not accidental, but that Peters was murdered. Nelson said that early tomorrow he will retrieve an underwater camera that will provide documentary proof of the killer's identity.
I hoped the news story would bring the murderer to the lagoon. Now I had to bait my hook and wait. The dummy in place, bubbles and all, and concealed myself, and none too soon. Another diver was already moving in with a spear gun. As he took aim at the dummy, I felt as if I was witnessing my own murder. He pulled his knife, and as he went in for the kill, I went for him. I knew that it must be Steve Garth, June's ex-husband. He was brave enough when it came to ambushing someone, but he didn't like it when the odds were even. He was strong and seemed to know every trick that I knew. He tried everything. Finally, I was able to get a judo hold on him and pull off his air hose. When he had swallowed more water than he could stand, he gave up. I brought him to the surface. He was close to drowning.
Did a fine job, Nelson. You ought to be on the force.
Oh, thanks, Lieutenant. But I didn't do Hal any good. Sure wish that we could have stopped Garth before he killed him.
Well, that's one of the heartbreaks of this job.
I just talked to June on the phone.
How is she?
Oh, she's still pretty shaken up. She's going to stick with the show.
That's good. She'll be all right.
And now, that lovely acrobatic water star, June Lee.
June threw herself into her work and came through in fine shape. She's touring the country now, top attraction in her class.
Hello there. I'm Lloyd Bridges. You know, 3/5 of the world is covered by the sea. And how little most of us know about that underwater world. Go below with us again next week, huh? For another thrilling adventure in Sea Hunt.
started on a calm, sunny day in the Caribbean on a scientific search for some ancient Mayan Indian relics. Two young scientists, Peter and Nancy Ordway, handled the archaeological end of the expedition. I was in charge of the underseas work. We were trying to find a cave down here just offshore where the Indians supposedly had hidden some religious treasures centuries ago. I was just about to call it a day when a shark gave me a brand new lead. Out of nowhere, an arrow slammed into him. Sharks are tough. They can be killed, of course, but it isn't easy. This one was dead in a matter of seconds. The arrow that killed him must have been fired with tremendous force, and it must have been tipped with a very deadly poison. I drew a mental line from where I'd seen the shark hit by the arrow to where it had probably come from. Then I spotted it. A trigger line that led to an ancient crossbow. A booby trap. Clever and elaborate. Too elaborate to have been set up just to kill sharks. No argument about it. This device had been prepared to deal out death to human intruders. Like me. When I surfaced, I brought along the weapon that had nearly finished me off down below.
This crossbow is really old.
How old would you say it is?
Well, 4 centuries at least.
400 years?
Yeah. You know what that is? That's an authentic weapon of the conquistadores.
Hey, what about this arrow?
Well, the same story, Nan. But the arrowhead. The arrowhead is definitely Mayan Indian.
From what you say it did to that shark, it must have really been loaded with poison.
It was. See how deep that poison pocket is?
Yeah, how do you suppose they sealed it to make it last that long?
What makes you think it had to last that long?
Mike, are you trying to suggest that that was a booby trap? And that it was meant for us?
Well, if somebody wanted to scare us away from that cave, can you think of a better way to do it?
Who would want to do a thing like that?
The pearl divers, Mike?
I don't know. They're the only people we've seen around here. Been working out beyond that reef the last couple of days.
Yeah. Yeah, they're out there now. Let's go out and ask them what they know about it.
Well, it's not going to do any good. They're not going to tell us anything.
Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes, señor. ¿Cómo le va? Por favor, ¿puedo hacerle algunas preguntas?
Maybe he speaks English. We found this in the waters off the western island. Is it yours? You know anything about it? Listen, we're not going to cause you any harm. We're scientists. We've got permission from your government to explore these islands. When we left the pearl divers, I was sure that we'd accomplished nothing. Actually, we'd picked up our most promising clue so far to those long-lost Mayan relics.
Mike, we've hit pay dirt. I'm sure of it now.
You know that amulet the head man was wearing?
Yeah, what about it?
Well, I made a sketch of it. Look,
Why'd you make two sketches of it?
just one of the amulets. This is a sketch of the arrowhead.
They look identical to you?
Look, the same design, the same workmanship.
These people have got to be descended from the group who escaped from the conquistadores. I know it. Mike, you marked the spot where you found the crossbow, didn't you?
Yeah.
Good. I bet you we find the cave within 10 yards of it.
I'll soon find out.
Hey, I'm going down with you.
Oh, you better stay here. We might run into a series of booby traps down there. I've had a lot of experience in underwater demolition work, you have.
Well, I could still be of some help to you.
No, you better stay here.
Now, wait a minute, Mike. You can't go down there by yourself, not when you know it's dangerous. Remember what you taught us at Silver Springs? You said that underwater safety was built on the buddy system, remember?
Okay, you win.
We got down without incident or accident and found the rocks that I'd used to mark the booby trap. I ordered Peter to stay put while I scouted around for additional traps. Wartime experience led me to expect that the crossbow would have a mate placed not too far away. That's what the boat hook was for, to probe the vegetation yard by yard. It worked. The hook hit another trigger rope and launched a second poison arrow. I went after the arrow while Pete Ordway searched for the bow that had fired it. It turned out to be the exact mate of booby trap number 1. I knew we were on the right track now. The entrance to the cave had to lie somewhere between the traps, and probably guarded by a third trap. I was right about the cave entrance, wrong about further obstacles. As far as I could see, that is. We found ourselves inside a kind of natural tunnel. We followed it and ran into currents that kicked up an almost blinding cloud of mud and gravel. The current was flowing through a narrow opening up ahead. Pete Ordway thought that he had a better chance than I to get through, but I pulled rank on him to lead the way. It was a tight squeeze, but I made it. Into a passageway so narrow that I had to slither through it like a serpent. I had told Pete to wait for me, but curiosity got the better of it. From behind me, I heard the roar of falling rocks and thought that I'd been trapped. But it was Pete who'd been caught. I cursed myself for having overlooked this third booby trap. This simple rock slide that had worked where the complex ones had failed. It had worked, all right. Though Pete Ordway was still conscious, he'd been badly hurt. I knew now that if we kept on searching, we might find death before we found the shrine. We made it upstairs somehow and managed to get Pete's broken ribs taped up.
What happened?
I think maybe you cracked a couple of your ribs, boy. You're gonna have to take it easy.
How, Mike? What hit me?
You set off a booby trap.
That rock slide, it wasn't an accident?
Oh, you tripped a wire. It was just lucky that I didn't.
You think those pearl divers did it, Mike?
Yeah, but I don't see how, Nan. Without an air tank, they'd drown before they got halfway through that tunnel. It's so long.
Well, how was it done then?
Oh, that's not the important question, not now.
Gotta get you to the hospital. We can talk about the other later, huh?
No, that can wait.
Listen, you took quite a banging.
Look, Mike, we're on the verge of a tremendous discovery. We must be, or that booby trap wouldn't have been where it was.
I think you're right.
How soon can you go back down?
First, I gotta get you to a doctor.
Look, I tell you, I'll be all right.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
All right. I'm on my way.
Mike, I'm going with you.
Hey, one hero in the family is enough.
Look, at Silver Springs, you said I was one of your best pupils.
Well, not there now.
Oh, please, Mike. You might come across a clue to what we're looking for and pass it right by. You're not a trained observer, you know. In archaeology, I mean.
What do you say, Pete?
Sorry, Mike, she's right. You better take her with you.
Okay. Get into your gear. Inside the cave, we worked our way down the tunnel very carefully, on the lookout not only for traps, but for possible clues to the relics.
found neither clues nor relics. Perhaps that made Nancy impatient, I don't know. But when we reached the rock slide that had nearly killed her husband, she decided to take it from there on her own. I caught up with her, though, and I thought that I'd managed to shake a little sense into her. We continued on together, but not very far. This looked like the end of the road, at least for someone my size. I tried to get through the narrow opening without my tanks, but that didn't work. The lecture that I'd given Nancy didn't work either. The minute my back was turned, off she went again. She wanted 5 minutes to explore what she was sure now was the long-sought undersea shrine. There was nothing that I could do but let her. The shrine was there, as we'd suspected, a strange collection of tiny pre-Columbian idols of incalculable historic significance. Nancy inspected them with beating heart. I knew that she was acting out of scientific zeal, or whatever you want to call it, but that didn't make me any the less angry with her, or any the less worried about her safety. The chief object in the shrine, the figure of the Mayan god of war, overwhelmed Nancy. She couldn't know that it was guarded by an unseen booby trap. The sword hilt was the trigger. The closely woven netting, weighted along the bottom, was too heavy for a woman to lift alone. When Nancy hadn't come out after 8 minutes, I was certain that something was wrong. I couldn't waste any more time, but I couldn't reach her from where I was. I had another plan.
Mike, where's Nancy? What happened to her?
She's trapped in a cave.
It's probably the one we're looking for.
You mean you left her there?
I had to. The entrance was too small. I couldn't get to her. There's got to be another way.
What do you mean?
From the other side. An entrance into the tunnel from above water. Close enough for those pearl divers to set off that booby trap that you knocked over.
Well, how are you going to find it, this entrance?
One of those pearl divers is going to find it for me.
No, don't.
So you speak English, huh? The cave where you set up the booby trap. There's another entrance from offshore, isn't there? Isn't there? You know, don't you? Don't you?
Yes.
All right. You're going to take me there. Oh, no. You go first. Any traps, you spring them.
My guide took me at my word. He did spring another arrow trap. It missed, but he wasn't through trying. When we got to Nancy, he took the lead in helping to free her, but only because he wanted to trap us both. That didn't work either. My first job was to get Nancy to the surface. I headed her in the right direction. Then I turned back for the Indian. Maybe he didn't deserve a break, but by the time I got to him, he sure needed one.
You should have let me die.
Yeah, why?
I failed my people. The strangers will come now, steal our treasures.
The only thing we're going to take are photographs. Pictures
Why?
to show the world what a mighty race you came from. Hi there. I'm Lloyd Bridges. Skin diving is certainly a lot of fun, and it's full of adventure. See some more of it again next week, huh? When there'll be another excursion into that fabulous underwater world of Sea Hunt.
The island republic of Porto Santo is often called the Pearl of the Caribbean Sea. Of course, we often forget that a pearl is the disease of the oyster. The island republic had its own disease, General Gomez. He ruled Porto Santo with an iron fist. Many forts and high sentry towers reminded me that this island paradise was nothing else but a miniature police state. I believe in minding my own business. I came here to dive, not to get involved in politics. At least this was my intention. Driving through peaceful lagoons made me forget the high tension around me. There was to be a general election in 3 days, and I didn't even know that Professor Mikado was the leader of the opposition. Nor did I know that one day soon, I'd have the dubious pleasure of meeting him 15 feet underwater. The scenery underwater was just as picturesque as it was above. I was testing an improved scooter. There were other skin divers there too, watching. A pretty girl and her underwater playmate. I wasn't aware then that they had a special plan for me and my equipment. One that I would long remember. The next day, I was spending my time 60 feet below, looking for certain rare shells from marine land of the Pacific. I filled my sack with a few collector's items and began to surface. My timing was all wrong. I was held at bay, at gunpoint, and witnessed a very bloody battle between some revolutionary students and some policemen of General Gomez. I headed for my boat as soon as I was allowed to. But even here, I found 2 unwelcome visitors, the skin divers that I had met underwater, followers of the missing Professor Mikado. They invited me on a little sightseeing tour. They had information that the missing Professor Mikado was murdered by the dictator's henchmen. They wanted me to find his body. The proof of his murder would swing public opinion. They had hoped that they could persuade me to come up with the evidence. The last thing in the world that I wanted was to get mixed up in a local squabble. But if these 2 students were telling the truth, human rights were being violated in a way that no one could ignore. But were they telling the truth? Just to get a look at the proof they offered was dangerous enough, because it meant scouting around the well-guarded summer palace of El Presidente. But to get the evidence they wanted would be to risk death.
You want proof, senor? These will give it to you. The summer palace of El Presidente.
Oh?
Look at the pier below the palace. The iron chains.
Yeah, I see.
Before they put the body in the water, the guards said they weighted it down with such a chain.
So?
Look at the pier. On the right side.
Uh-huh.
The chain between the posts there is missing. No?
It's missing. What's that prove?
What if you should find the chain in the lagoon, tied to his ankles?
Will I?
On my word of honor, senor. So, will you help us?
I don't know yet.
There is so little time, senor. If there's anything more we could tell you.
Well, you've told me enough.
Then what?
But is it the truth?
Why would we lie to you?
Gomez would love to be able to nail a United States citizen for plotting against him. You could be setting me up for that kind of a deal.
You think we might be agents for Gomez?
It's possible. I intend to find out.
If we are not agents, you will help us?
I'll get in touch with you tomorrow at the same time. Where?
There's a bridge over the canal that leads to the sea. You know it?
Yeah.
I'll be there. Under the bridge at 4 o'clock.
All right, 4 o'clock. Let's get back to the boat, huh?
My friend Jerry Rockmill was the able representative in Puerto Santo of a news service from the States. It was a fortunate coincidence for me because I had a lot of questions to ask. And she had the answers.
This man Gomez is bad news, Mike. The worst for us since Perón.
For us?
From any point inside this country, you could hit almost any point inside ours with an intermediate range missile. And Gomez is talking a deal with people who'd like to try.
Well, sounds like a good man to beat in the election.
Sure. Only you can't beat something with nothing, Mike.
What about Mercado? What happened to him?
Now remember, you didn't hear this from me. But Mercado is dead, murdered.
Any idea who might have been responsible for it?
Gomez. But if I ever said so out loud, I'd be on my way out so fast my head would spin. If I had a head left.
What if you could prove that Gomez was in some way responsible for Mercado's death?
Public opinion would turn against him. Gomez would be on his way out.
You know of a young fellow by the name of Jose Garcia?
Yeah. He's the leader of the Mercado group in the university. Why?
He claims that he knows where Mercado's body is. Wants me to recover it.
You did tell him you would.
No, not yet. Can we go? Thanks for the fill-in. I'll let you know what happens, huh?
You are going through with it, aren't you?
I'm going to try.
Then I'll get my head kicked in, too.
What do you mean?
Too good a story to miss. There's nothing like on-the-spot coverage.
Hooray. I was right in the middle of something. Something that I should have kept out of.
You sure he meant this place?
Yeah, this is the place, all right.
Garcia?
Yeah. They certainly made sure that he was dead. If I'd have done what he told me to do last night, this wouldn't have happened.
Well, you had to be sure first. You couldn't stick your neck out.
Yeah, well, I'm going to now. And this is my party. You're not invited.
Hey, look, I'm a gate crasher from way back. But we better get out of here. And now.
Yeah. Gomez would love to put this on us. Like a couple of fishermen, but we were on a mission which could easily cost us our lives. Its strange objective was to find a body and a chain on the bottom of a lagoon. I hadn't wanted to get involved in it at all, but now I was up to my neck in it.
that an awful lot to carry? 2 tanks of air?
That's about 60 minutes worth. And I'll use up about 2/3 of it to get there and back. That means I only have about 20 minutes of air to look for that body.
Wouldn't it be safer to move in closer first?
Well, I might be wrong about those patrol boats. You take care now, huh?
Don't worry about me.
The lagoon was pretty far away, but because I had the scooter, unless I ran into trouble, I could count on hitting the entrance in about 15 minutes. The scooter and its light functioned perfectly. There were strong currents, but I went deeper and avoided them. "14 minutes after I'd set out, I entered the lagoon, and I began to search for the pier. As I moved in toward the shore, I was tempted to surface to get my bearings, but I knew better than to risk it.
You have seen something, Ramon?
Yes, Lieutenant. A boat. It has been out there for some time now.
For how long?
20 minutes. It is probably nothing.
Where the safety of our president is concerned, nothing may be overlooked.
Yes, Lieutenant.
She is alone. On a good-sized fishing boat. Does that not seem strange to you, Ramon?
Yes, Lieutenant.
What do you think we should do about it, Ramon?
Go out and investigate?
Yes, Ramon.
So I turned off my scooter and its light and waited. It passed without stopping, and I continued. Soon my light picked up the pilings of the Palace Pier. Now my real work started. I began to spiral in on a wide search area. I was concerned about running out of air.
Senorita. Permit me to present myself. I am Lieutenant Perez of the Palace Guard of His Excellency El Presidente.
Good evening.
And whom do I have the pleasure to be addressing?
Geraldine Rackmo. I'm a United States citizen.
Ah, but of course, Senorita. Who but a North American woman would be fishing at this hour alone?
I guess you're right, Lieutenant. I am alone.
But just to make certain, a formality only, I assure you. You will permit my man to search your boat.
You won't find anything.
I do not expect to. Ramon, investigate. And what luck have you had, Senorita, with your fishing?
Not so good. I just lost a marlin.
You did? It's amazing.
Yes?
There are no marlin in these waters.
I'd used up more than half of my air supply without sighting a trace of what I was after. Yet I didn't want to quit. Then I saw it. The evidence that I was looking for. A length of heavy iron chain. I could see immediately that it matched the fence chain around the summer palace. And I had no doubts as to whose body it was tied to. I'd need proof to show that it was Dr. Mercado's body. So I took from it what I needed. A medallion. And an identification bracelet. I noted the spot well so I could find it again, and headed back.
I found this in the cabin. This boat is registered to a Mike Nelson.
Excellent.
Mr. Nelson, loan me the boat.
He is perhaps a skin diver?
Oh, no, that's my equipment.
Yes? What are these cylinders filled with?
The tanks? Oxygen.
Then I beg of you, do not use them. Underwater, one uses compressed air.
Thanks for the warning.
Punada, senorita. Punada.
I got out of the lagoon and into the open sea without any trouble. Suddenly, a powerful riptide picked me up and spun me around. Unless I got clear of it, I'd use up what little air I had left and would have to surface. Then if one of Gomez's patrol boats came along, that'd be the end of my evidence. And perhaps me. I fought against it with all my strength. And less than 10 feet from the surface, I managed to get clear. I continued toward our boat and hoped my air supply would still get me there, underwater. I knew I must be very close to the boat.
How much longer are we going to play games?
Until you tell me why you are anchored out here in sight of the palace.
All right, I'll tell you. About 2 weeks ago, a man I know, Dr. Mikado, came out to the palace. I haven't seen him since, and I thought he just might come swimming by.
You do not amuse me, Senorita.
I didn't intend to.
Dr. Mikado came to the palace because he wished to withdraw from the elections. He knew his cause was hopeless. El Presidente gave him the opportunity to leave the country. Mikado took it.
I think you really believe that.
El Presidente told me himself. Why should I not believe it? Why?
Because it isn't true.
You dare to say El Presidente lied?
No, not without proof, and I don't have that yet.
Then you never will have.
I'm starting to think you're right.
Of course. Even to think. What is that? Those bubbles. What are they?
Could be Dr. Mikado.
Or Mike Nelson. Ramon. Get her out of sight. Conceal yourself also.
For the first time since I'd left the cruiser, I figured I could relax. I'd get back on board, turn the evidence over to Jerry along with an eyewitness report, and let her take it from there.
Jerry, I'm back.
Senor Nelson, you are under arrest. Where were you and what were you doing?
I don't have to answer your question.
You will, senor. Ramon.
You all right?
This is Lieutenant Perez from the Palace Guard.
Now you will answer my questions, so that the senorita will remain all right. Where were you?
In the lagoon, below the palace.
Why?
I wanted to find out if your president was really a murderer. I found out. He is.
You found Dr. Mikado's body?
Say yes and you will die with a lie on your lips.
Well, there was a body, and there were 3 bullet holes in the back.
I'd say it was about 2 weeks ago. Wasn't that about when Mikado disappeared?
Lies. Lies.
This chain came from the palace pier.
What about it?
It was wrapped around the body to weigh it down.
Dr. Mikado is not dead. He is out of the country. You will pay for your lies, senor.
You think these are lies? That's his medallion, his wristwatch, identification bracelet.
Then it is true. All they have said about him is true. All true. If you don't want to run into the night patrol boat, take a northwesterly course.
Thanks, Lieutenant. Lieutenant Perez was a patriot after all. His love for his country and its laws was stronger than his personal loyalty to its president. The evidence that we had found was given to the opposition party. Public opinion soon defeated Gomez. And my improved scooter checked out as the best friend that Mike Nelson ever had. I'll be back next week at the same time with another sea hunt story. Plan to be with us again, huh?